Hello and welcome. Today we're going to make a little cauldron cat toy for our kitty cat friends. The things you'll need to make this toy are going to be a 4mm crochet hook, some yarn needles, scissors. You're going to want some kind of stuffing. Catnip is optional as always. And then some worsted weight yarn and two colors, a color for whatever stew you're cooking up in the cauldron and a color for the outside. I'm going to use purple today just so it'll be a little easier for you guys to see, but as you can see, black looks nice too. And if St. Patrick's Day rolls around and you've got some gold yarn, you could always make a little pot of gold with the same pattern. So go ahead, grab whatever you need and we'll get started. We're starting at the bottom, so we're starting with a magic circle. We're going to take the working end of our yarn, we're crossing it over the short end. We're going to hold it right where they cross. Going in with our hook, we're going to pull up a loop, and then we're going to do that one more time through that little loop. So now our magic circle is done. We're going to make 6 single crochets working down the side that has the 2 strands. So we're going in, we're going to wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through those 2 on the hook. We're going to keep going until you have 6. And then we're going to pull on that short end. That'll bring the stitches together. So now we've got a little circle of stitches. We're going into the very first stitch. We're going to wrap and we're going to slip stitch that first stitch through the last stitch. So now our little circle is all round and together. We're going to chain 1 and then we are going to single crochet 2 in each stitch around. So we're going into that very first one. We wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through the 2 on the hook, and then we're going right back into that same spot and one more single crochet there. So we're just going to repeat that all the way around. So now you can see there's 2 little stitches there. When we get to the end of this round, we'll have gone from 6 stitches to 12. So go ahead and finish that off. Just keep going, keep with that increase. Once you have all 12 of those done, we're going to slip stitch again. So we're finding the very first stitch of the round. We're wrapping the yarn, pull through the first and the last stitches. We're going to chain 1. We've got another increase coming up here. This one's going to be a little different. So we're going to have 1 single crochet in the first stitch and then 2 in the next. So going back into that same spot. So we're doing the same thing over and over again for this whole round. So we're going to have 1 single crochet in the next stitch and 2 in the one after that. So this is going to take us from 12 to 18 stitches. When you get to the end, you'll slip stitch to join again. We'll chain 1 and then we'll get back together for round 4. So those first 3 rounds are the base, the bottom of our cauldron. That's just going to give it a nice flat bottom so it'll stand up if you want it to stand up. And to make the round part, the cauldron-y part, we're going to go into the back loop only and single crochet through the back loop. So you can kind of see the, maybe you can't, even with the purple, it's still kind of dark. Let's see. So the back loops, you see the little V shapes, you're going into the one that's furthest away from you only and creating that single crochet. So that's going to keep those first 3 rows sort of just on the bottom, and it'll turn your work a little bit so that it starts to build little walls. So this first round here, or round 4, is just 1 single crochet in every stitch. When you get to the end, you'll slip stitch to join again, we'll chain 1. And then we've got some more increases coming. So go ahead and finish this round. Okay, we've joined, we've chained 1. We're ready for that next round. For the increase for this one, we're going to have a single crochet in the first 2 stitches. So 1 plain single crochet, 1 plain single crochet in the next. And then we've got that increase stitch. So we're going to make 2 in the third. It's going to be repeating all the way around. So just have 1 in the next 2 and then 2 and the next one. So single, single, double all the way around. When you get back to the beginning, we are going to join them. We're going to chain 1 and then we'll be ready for the next round. Our 5th round is done. Before we move on to the next one thing I like to do with the cat toys is just to thread that starting tail onto a yarn needle and just kind of tie it off. You don't really need to do this if you're just like using it as a decoration or if you have like a gentler cat. But if you get a cat that will rip things apart, that's safer just to tuck it in there so they can't get that piece loose. All right, so now that that's done, we're moving on. Our next round is going to be a little different. We're going to single crochet into the first 5 stitches. So plain individual single crochets for the first 5 stitches. And once you got all 5 of those, our 6th stitch is going to be the increase. So we're going in there again. So that same thing, that pattern repeats. You got 5 individual, 1 stitch per stitch. And then the 6th stitch, 1, 2, 3, 4, one more. That 6th stitch is going to get 2 worked into it. So you'll repeat that again a couple more times. When you get back to the end, you'll join the round, we'll chain 1, and then the following round is just plain single crochet. So that, go ahead and finish this one with those increases. The next one will just be a plain single crochet round, and then we'll get back together for our round after that. Okay, we're ready for our next round. This should be our 8th round. We've got a decrease round here. So we're gonna have a plain single crochet in the first 3. So each of those first 3 stitches just get 1 plain single crochet. And then we're going to decrease the next 2. So we're going to work the next 2 together. We're going to go through the front loop only, just like before you're looking at those little V's. This time you're grabbing the one closest to you. And you're going to grab the one closest to you on the next stitch as well. You're going to wrap, pull through there, wrap, pull through those 2 left on the hook. And there's our decrease. If there's some other way you like to decrease that just is more comfortable for your hands or your brain or whatever, feel free to use it. It'll still work the same. Okay, so we finished those 3. We're going to decrease. This one is a repeating pattern, but when we get to the very end, we'll have 3 kind of just spare stitches. So those will just get worked as plain single crochets. So go ahead, keep going 3 and then a decrease with those last 3 worked just plain. We'll join it, we'll chain 1, and then we'll get back together. Row 9 is going to be another decrease round row. I tend to use those interchangeably. We're going to single crochet 1 in the first 2, and then we are decreasing again. So going through the front loops only of those next 2 stitches. Okay, so again, it's repeating up until the last 3 stitches, and then those last 3 stitches will just get worked just by themselves. That's going to take us back down to 18, so it'll be the same kind of size it is on the bottom. Go ahead and finish this round. We'll join them, we'll chain 1, and we'll get back together. Okay, round 10 is just going to be a plain single crochet round all the way around. So we're just having 1 single crochet in each stitch. We should end up with 18. We're going to join that round, we're going to chain 1, and then we're going to get back together for our last round in this color. All right, our next round is going to be our last round with this color. We're going to be working in the front loops only. That's just going to give us a little brim for our cauldron, and it's going to keep those insides, the back loops, open for us to attach our whatever you're cooking up there. So we're going into the front loops only. So the front of that little V, you can kind of see it there. We're going to wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through both just to make that single crochet. And we're doing that all the way around, just making sure that you're leaving the back loops available. So we're going through the front loops only. So again, you'll have 18. We'll slip stitch to join at the end. And then before we just completely cut off and tie off this yarn, we're going to leave kind of a longer tail because we're going to use the tail to make our handles for our cauldron. So go ahead and finish this round, and then we'll do that together. So I'm going to leave a pretty long tail here. Then I'm going to cut the purple yarn away. So now we can wrap our yarn over the hook one last time and just pull it through that last loop to tie off that part. We need our yarn needle. We're going to thread that onto the yarn needle. Once we have that threaded on, we're just kind of weaving it back through the lip of the cauldron there, just to bring it to the inside. And now from there, we're gonna find just about, I think it's the third row or round down. I think that's kind of the best place for it. We're gonna bring that in, and we don't want to pull it too tight because we don't want this to like tug or anything. We're just leaving it there. And we're going to go through the other side of the stitch that it's kind of next to and pull until we have a little loop. And then we are gonna take our hook, putting our hook through that little loop we just created. And we're just gonna chain 4. It's not gonna be a huge handle. And once you have those 4 chained on there, we gotta unthread our yarn needle so, so we can pull that tail through. We're gonna wrap and pull through that last one to tie off the chain. Now we're gonna put our yarn needle back on the tail. And we are gonna tie it just a little bit over. So maybe like 2 stitches from where you started it. Bringing it in, and then go through one more time just to make a little knot. And so going through the loop for make just that really simple knot. Pull that as tight as you can get it so it's kind of invisible, and then we're going to go straight across, roughly about the same row there. And we're just going to do the same thing on the other side. So we've got our little handle on one side, and now we're just going to do the other. So we'll do the same thing. We'll go through on the other side of that stitch until you get that little loop. Grab our hook. We're going to chain 4. And we'll unthread that so we can tie it off. And we thread that on one last time. We're almost done with the purple or black or whatever color you're using. And we just want to make it as even as we can. Okay, this way. To tie that on. Going all the way through, and then I'm going to loop through one more time to create a little knot. And then whatever's left of the tail is going to end up on the inside of our toy. So we're just sending it in. And you can take the needle off. Now is the time to add our catnip and stuffing. So if you're doing catnip, I always recommend putting the catnip in first. That way when you are crocheting, it doesn't like flake all over the place. So catnip first, stuffing, and then we're gonna do the very top. Okay, so we've got our stuffing in. We are going to find our first stitch here. So I gotta get that out of my way. We're digging our hook in there, and then we're going to attach whatever color you're using for the top. And we are just gonna wrap that over the hook to pull it through that loop. And we're gonna tie it. There is a cat in my lap trying to get the toy. Okay, so I'm keeping my hook in there so I can tie the knot nice and tight without accidentally making the loop too small. Okay, so that tail that just sort of got created is going to get tucked inside the toy. And there. So we're just going to leave that tucked in. And then we are going to chain 1. And we're going to single crochet a single crochet stitch into where we attached our yarn. Next part's going to be a little different. We've got a decrease, but because we only have that one loop to work with, we're going to do the decrease just a little differently. So we're going in to the next stitch, and we are going to wrap, pull up, and then we're going to go into the one right after and do the same thing. We're going to wrap, pull up, and then we're going to wrap and pull through everything left on that hook. So we're repeating that all the way around. We're going to have one plain single crochet in the next, And then those following two will get worked together. So we're just making sure that we are grabbing each one as we go. So we've got those two worked, and we're gonna finish them off together. And again, so we're repeating until you get to the end. We're gonna slip stitch to join into that first one, and then we've got one last round. Okay, here's our last round. It's all decreases all the way around. We can go back to our regular decrease again. So we're gonna go through the first loop only of those first two stitches. So I got some splitty yarn here. Going into the next one. We're gonna wrap, pull through both of those. This is gonna be a short round. We're gonna end up with just 6 stitches. Going into, again, the first loops only of the next two. So you grab them both, wrap, pull up, wrap, pull through both. So keep going all the way around, and then we'll finish it off together. Okay, when you're back around to the beginning there, we are going to join our very first stitch of the round with our last one. And then we are going to cut our last piece of yarn here. We don't need to leave it too long, but just enough so that we can weave it in and tie it off and all that. So we're going to wrap around the hook, pull through that last loop. We're getting our yarn needle, and we're going to thread that tail onto the yarn needle. Okay. And once we have that threaded on, we're just going in and out of the last couple of stitches there. And once you are back at the beginning, we're gonna pull that as tight as you can to make that last little bitty hole disappear. And we'll go in kind of anywhere, wherever you think that last knot will lay the flattest. We're gonna go through and then send our needle through that little loop and pull as tight as you can. Going back through the toy, anywhere really. We're gonna put a little tension on that so when we snip it off, the rest of the tail will just disappear back inside the toy. And our little kitty cauldron's all done. So I hope you guys had fun making that. I hope your kitty cat friends enjoy them.